it's me, Miss Kirkley. I'm one of your favorite math teachers here, and I just wanted to go ahead and talk through what makes something proportional. So we've been talking a lot about unit rate and what that means. And we've talked about that means putting two things together where they have a relationship and that rate stays the same all the way through from the beginning to the end of their relationship continuously. It's constantly the same. Well, I'm sorry to break it to you, but this person likes to go by a lot of names. So even though we've been calling it unit rate, there are some other names that we're going to have to call it. One of which is a constant of proportionality. So the constant of proportionality is the exact same thing as unit rate. It's whatever you're multiplying your inputs by to get your outputs. In order to understand what you're multiplying your dependent by to get your independent, whatever you're multiplying the left side on a chart by to get your right side, or whatever you're multiplying your x's to get your y's, doesn't matter how you say it, it's whatever you are constantly multiplying by in order to get the right side. When we're talking about that, we're talking forward about being sure that we know to multiply one side to get the other. So with that being said, every single time that we multiply, we need to make sure it's the same. Sometimes this character that we have will be called K. Think of it like Miss Kirkley doesn't spell okay, so she just uses the constant K. Same every time. So I'm going to show us some examples and some non-examples of proportionality. So some things that we can label as proportional and other things that we have to say, nope, they're not proportional. So first things first, let's look at this chart. This chart tells us that when we have 0 inputs, we have 0 outputs. That's great. Because the first step to being proportional means when we're plugging in 0, we're getting 0 every time. No matter what the relationship is, to be proportional, every time we plug in 0, we have to get 0. The next thing is it has to be multiplied by the same thing every single time in order to be proportional. So let's check here. I know when we talked about unit rate, we went and we divided the right side by the left. So we did 5 divided by 1 here, which gives us 5. So that means in this table, if not all of my lefts are multiplied by 5 to get my rights, it's not proportional. But if it is multiplied by 5 every time, it is proportional. So let's check. 1 times 5 I know is 5, so that checks out. I know 2 times 5 is 10. Good. So that's proportional. I know 3 times 5 is 15. So good. That's all proportional. So I can say that check, this table is proportional. Let's try to check this one. Let's see if this one's proportional. So first things first, I'm going to check my zeros. When I'm plugging in 0, I'm getting 6. Is that proportional? No, that's not proportional. But let's say maybe it passed, so let's move on. Let's check our other things to make sure we know. So we have an 8 here and a 1 here. I'm going to set it up. So 8 divided by 1 gives me 8. So my constant should be 8. So let's try this. 1 times 8 would give me 8, so that checks out. 2 times 8 would give me, it'd give me 16, but this is 18, so that's not proportional. And then I would do 3 times 8 here, because again, we should be multiplying by 8 every time. And 3 times 8 would give me 24, and this is saying 12. So I have 3 x's here. It's safe to say that's not proportional. I want you to try this one down below. Pause the video and try to figure out, is this table proportional or not proportional? Go ahead, pause. I told you to pause. Okay, let's try it. So first, let's start with our zeros. I see 0 here and a 0 here. So that checks out already because when I put in 0, I got 0. So good. So let's try it again. 1 and 8. So that means I'm going to do 8 divided by 1 again. So that means it's going to be 8. So my unit rate should be 8. So I'm going to do 1 times 8. That gives me 8. So that's good. Let's try it down here again. So times 8, because that's my unit rate, or my K, constant of proportionality, my K. 2 times 8 is 16. That's good. Now let's try it here. 25. Let's do times 8. 3 times 8 is 24. This says it's 25. So that's not proportional. And if one thing says it's not proportional, guess what? Not proportional. This is not a proportionate table. Everything else can check out clear, but because this one didn't check out as proportional, it is no longer proportional. Check me out for our next video on graphs.